Kathy, thank you. As you saw earlier, that ruling by the High Court in Joburg that the meeting which led to the removal of the DA's Mpho Phalatse as mayor now been overturned, which means she's now restored as mayor. Of course, entirely possible that at the next formal meeting of the council, she could be voted out again. Either way, the mayor of the city of Joburg, Dr. Mpho Phalatse, is with you now. Madam Mayor, good evening to you. What's your reaction to this? Are you already back in office? Are you going to reappoint another mayoral committee?
No, in fact, I would like to retain the mayoral committee that I was serving with, except the Patriotic Alliance MMC. MMC actually solves the first. For obvious reasons, the PA has crossed over to the other side. It will be very difficult to continue working with the PA MMC. As far as the other MMCs are concerned, I'd like to continue with the constitution as it is.
How do you feel about, it would seem on one level, one way of looking at it is that you've been betrayed by the Patriotic Alliance and they've been very public about doing it.
Well, we've accepted. They've got a choice to exit the coalition. That the coalition agreement does have an exit clause. We never force any political parties to stay in the coalition. It's just in the manner in which they did it. And yes, we've had to accept and move on. I think the important thing now is to look at how we stay in office. We know that the ANC is weighing their options. I'm told that they're sitting with their legal teams and they're looking at various other options. So we need to also make sure that we don't further destabilize the city and that we continue the work of the rebuilding and repair.
Are you going to overturn all of the decisions that were made by the ANC's Dada Morero while he was in office?
Every illegal decision will be overturned. It's difficult to say all the decisions. You've got day-to-day operations in the city, and we cannot just have a blanket approach to overturning decisions. But yes, we will go through an assessment process of seeing what decisions have been made in the last few weeks. I'm already aware of some. I've already started overturning some. The boards of the 13 entities of the city were told to stop operating. I've issued a directive that they must continue operating. That's one example. We will be reviewing acting appointments where there's been a lot of movement, particularly amongst senior managers. We're going to be looking at that and various other things. We're very concerned about the lack of target reaching by this illegal administration when it comes to revenue collection. We're concerned about the financial state of the city, so we need to review that, find out where the administration dropped the ball and what needs to happen to get them back where they're supposed to be so that we don't have dire consequences in the city's finances.
In the end, as you say, the Patriotic Alliance has moved from sort of your side of the aisle to the other side of the aisle. It seems inevitable to me that at the next council that is properly scheduled, that is properly constituted, you will be voted out. And I'm sure Colleen Makubele, who's the Speaker who lost today's case, she's with COPE, again, they were part of your administration no longer, that she will schedule that meeting as soon as she's legally allowed to. How long do you think you're going to be mayor for?
Well, this is politics, Stephen. Anything can happen in politics, so I wouldn't hold my breath for a particular outcome. I think let's wait and see. We're busy negotiating vigorously behind the scenes, both within the coalition. We're engaging our national leadership. We're engaging locally. Let's see what happens when that day comes.
Do you really think there's a chance you can stay in? I don't know where the support would come from without the Patriotic Alliance and without COPE.
Stephen, there's always a chance.
Politics is politics. Residents are watching this. There seems to almost be a revolving door in the mayor's office. Surely this is bad for Joburg. If you're only going to be in for 10 days, what's the point?
Well, you're absolutely right. So if you're asking me, was it worth going through the legal battle? Absolutely, yes. And there was an injustice. There was unlawfulness in the ousting of an executive mayor and in the election of an executive mayor. Surely that's enough of an infringement to act and to approach the courts for recourse, which we have done, and I'm glad that we've been victorious. I think today there's no confusion as to who is the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg. We've had confusion in the last few weeks because I've always maintained that what happened was illegal, and I did not recognize Dada Morero as the executive mayor. And there was a lot of contention around that, but the courts have since proven that we were in fact correct. Now, you need to know at any given point what the status quo is. if you're asking me what's going to happen going forward, as I said, this is politics. Can we improve the instability? Of course we can, through legal reform. If you look at countries like Denmark, you're not allowed to oust a mayor in a motion of no confidence. The law does not allow it. In South Africa, however, we are allowed to do it. And unfortunately, the laws were developed during times of a single-party majority government. Things have changed a lot since then, and perhaps it's time for the lawmakers to come together and look at legal reform to support coalitions, as we see more and more of coalition governments coming up in different parts of the country. So yes, this calls for some legal considerations going forward to stabilize and protect our governments.
Mpho Phalatse, the Executive Mayor of Johannesburg, for now, thank you very much indeed.